Hello friends, welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and everything in between. Hope you're all doing awesome today. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and let's get right into it, guys. Sing a Christmas carol for a tip. I've been a pizza delivery driver for several years, and today is the first day I legitimately feel ashamed of doing what I do. The story may not seem to be a huge deal to some people, since it's probably more of me being socially inept when it comes to a big audience and being recorded and not being comfortable with my singing voice. So I may be overreacting, but I can't shake this feeling of humiliation. Since I was a kid, I've always been pretty shy. Even amongst close friends, I'm somewhat quiet, and I am absolutely terrible speaking in front of large crowds. I remember in high school having nightmares for weeks about having to do an upcoming presentation, and I would be dreading doing it every day until the day of. Not only that, but I'm a terrible singer, and I know it. I don't even feel comfortable singing in front of friends and family. Which brings me to the actual story. I had a delivery today with a note written in the special instructions section that said, "Sing a Christmas carol for a tip." I didn't really take it all that seriously and figured they were just joking. And if they weren't, I thought of a corny line to say while driving there, to hopefully satisfy them if they were serious. So I show up and it's some kind of small party going on. There's probably roughly 10 to 15 teenagers gathered around in the living room, and the mom comes to the door and takes the pizzas. There were 6 larges, as I give her the receipt to sign. She then looks at me with a smile and goes, "So did they tell you?" "Oh, the note? Yeah, I saw that, but trust me, you don't want to hear me sing," I said. "Oh, come on, you have to." She then ushers me inside and closes the door behind me. All of the people there are watching me and already have their phones out recording me. I instantly get uncomfortable and want to leave as quickly as possible. An audience is one thing, but being recorded by multiple people will instantly make me feel nervous. "Well, go on, sing," she says. "No, really, I'm a terrible singer. I'm sure I will ruin your Christmas. Christmas is still several weeks away. I have no idea why they wanted a Christmas carol so bad." "Oh, come on, I'll make it worth your while," she said as she waved a 20 and a 5 in front of me. I continued to insist on being a terrible singer and not being comfortable with it, but she kept pushing. Eventually, I decided to try my corny line and hoped it would satisfy them. So I just said, "Okay, how about rub-a-dub-dub, I brought you some grub," which was corny. And holy hell, so cringy to say and made me feel infinitely more uncomfortable. Obviously, no one laughed, and she went, "No, it has to be a Christmas carol." I insisted more about not wanting to sing, and was starting to get seriously pissed off and uncomfortable that she wasn't taking no for an answer, and she kept waving the money in front of my face to encourage me. So finally I just said, "Look, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to sing for money." She looked at me incredulously for a second and went, "Wow, it was only for fun, you know? Well, you're definitely not getting this then," she said as she pulled the 20 away and only gave me the 5 and the receipt she had signed. I said thank you and quickly left, while I heard several comments behind me from everyone else like, "Wow, is he serious? What a dick. Ugh, gross." What this even means, I have no idea. Disgusted she didn't hear a Christmas carol, I guess? Wow, did he really have to make us feel so bad? So yeah, it's just being pressured to sing, which I guess should just be fun. But I've never felt so used and humiliated while working here. I legitimately feel ashamed to be working a minimum wage job now, and truly feel like I'm on the lowest rung of the ladder in society. I was just a tool for their entertainment that they thought would jump at the chance to make a fool of myself for an extra $20. I'm a pizza delivery driver, not an effing performer. Edit. I really appreciate all the kind words, everyone. It's awesome going from feeling humiliated last night to feeling proud of myself today. Thank you all so much. You know, asking a delivery guy to do something like this at first is all in good fun, but there's a point where you really just need to take a hint. Not everyone is going to be comfortable with that, and OP obviously expressed that, but they just kept pushing. But for them to actually get offended and mad when OP didn't want to do it is honestly pretty messed up. Especially because they were bribing you with more money and waving a 20 in your face, and then just put it back in their pocket just because you didn't want to make a fool of yourself. Really not cool, but that's customer service for you. We got stalked in a nature preserve on our anniversary. My boyfriend and I were taking a walk in the woods the other day as a part of our anniversary. We love nature, so it was going to be the perfect day for us. We live in an area close to some big forests where it can get fairly isolated. Nothing extremely remote, and all the known trails are popular, but you can still find yourself alone in some densely wooded areas all over the map and get lost. Nevertheless, the park we chose wasn't even that large, and it was during broad daylight. But this guy still decided that it was a great day to spice up some couple's anniversary with whatever weird crap he was planning. Mind you, we're not big people. I'm like 5'7", my boyfriend is 5'5", so appearance-wise, I think we look like easy targets. We noticed him very soon after we went through the park entrance, which consisted of a historic site, a pond, and a lookout point that delved into a series of forest trails that we planned on walking. He was some 30-something Asian dude with glasses wearing some orange and gray hiking gear. Just figured he was a solo hiker there to visit the same park. Well, he tailed us everywhere he went, rather closely but just out of earshot. Down to the historic center, around the outdoor corridors, through the terraces and lookout points, and whenever I stopped to take a look at something for a while, he would sit on a bench several feet away and wait. My boyfriend and I silently noticed him the entire time. We kept an eye on him but didn't mention him for a while. Just hoped it was all an awkward coincidence. My boyfriend wandered off for a moment to read a sign about the bat population in the area. As soon as my boyfriend leaves, this guy makes an effing beeline straight for me. Out of the corner of my eye, I watched him. All he did was walk very close behind me, like a foot away. I felt like he was sizing me up and seeing what I would do. I just watched him walk past me, watched him check behind him real quick as I stared back. My boyfriend immediately returned. In a low voice, he suggested we go check out another part of the park, and I agreed. So we turned around to walk to the other side of the main site, where there was a pond. This man turns around, immediately following us. At this point, it doesn't seem like a coincidence anymore. "This guy is creeping me out," I whispered to my boyfriend, and he agreed. He suggested we just leave, go back to my car. I agreed, but also very afraid and unsure, I said that I didn't want this guy to see what my car looked like. So I suggested we stop at the pond first and maybe leave when he's looking away. So we did that. We stopped at the pond and I was looking at some ducks. This guy circles the pond a couple times. Each time he walks behind us, very closely. Closer each time. At this point, my boyfriend is pissed off. So my boyfriend starts staring this guy down, the most hateful glare, unabashedly just making it known that he is onto him. This guy starts breaking into a sweat, like he looks visibly nervous, and we could hear his breathing was a little labored. When he circled around us once more, he stopped several yards away to sit at a bench, occasionally glancing back at us. I kept staring too. Finally, when he stopped looking at us, we made a break for it, quietly. We quickly walked over to the parking lot. This guy noticed us leaving within a minute, and to my shock, he made his way to the parking lot too. At that second, I felt my heart drop. It's one thing to be chased around the park. It's another thing to have someone try to stop you from leaving the park, or worse, following you out of the park. I felt like everything was cold and buzzing and my heart was racing, but I kept my cool and got to my car. As soon as we buckled up, I hit the gas. As I drove out of the parking lot, I saw the man getting into his car. It was one of those beige 1990s to 2000s cars. I think it was a Lexus. Well, he was getting into his car and we made eye contact. He froze in place, stone-faced staring at me, expressionless. It keeps popping up in my head, it was so creepy. I revved my engine and got the F out of there, sped down the hill and onto the highway, then went straight home. My boyfriend and I had a very nice anniversary after that. But the entire day we kept going, man, what a day. Because what the hell was that? I don't want to know what his intentions were, but they weren't good. That's all I know. I feel like he wanted us to go on the trails because that's where we would have been truly alone with him. Yuck. Creepy old woman tried to take my 5-month-old son. I recently gave birth to my son, who is my first child, and is definitely a ridiculously cute baby. But I never anticipated it was to the point that random elderly women would try to snatch him. We live in Flagstaff, Arizona, and we're about to make the 2-hour drive down to Phoenix to visit my mom, as we do every other weekend. Baby was bundled up because it's freezing right now and taking a nap in his car seat. I was standing out in the cold pumping gas, the sun still barely coming up. It was about 5 in the morning. I finished pumping when all of a sudden I noticed movement on the other side of my car through the windows. I can only see the back of my son's car seat with all the blankets, so I can't see if he's still inside. I feel my heart beating with just an instinct that something was amiss, and I walked slowly around the other side of my car. I see an old woman, probably in her 60s to 70s, holding my son out in the freezing cold without any of his blankets, smiling this ridiculously insane smile at him and going, "Oh, look at you." My son's about to cry because she just woke him up, and she's bouncing him and shushing him, and I literally yelled at the top of my lungs, "What the f*** are you doing?" The old lady nearly jumps into the air, and she has these wide eyes as she looks at me, and she opens her mouth like she's about to say something, and then she shuts it again and holds my son closer, as if she's shielding him from me. Then the crazy woman has the audacity to say, "How dare you shout at me like that?" I was livid. I stomped towards her and told her, "Give me my f***ing baby." She opened her mouth and began to say something, and I cut her off and said, "Now or I'll f***ing swing." When she still hesitated, I just dove in for it and snatched him out of her hands so quick she nearly fell over on the ice. He started crying at this point, and I was checking on him to make sure she hadn't done anything, and she started to rant. "Look, he's crying now. He knows his mother is a disrespectful and disgraceful person. You should be ashamed of yourself." I gave her the dirtiest look I have ever managed to make in my life, and started screaming at the top of my lungs. You do not open someone's car door, unbuckle their baby, and take him out. You do not grab them and refuse to give them back. You're f***ing insane. She started shouting unintelligible stuff, something along the lines of her hoping my son hates me in the future or whatever. To which I angrily stomped towards her, which made her scurry away while still screaming at me. I buckled my son back in quickly, soothed him, then got in the car and sped away. Halfway through my escape, I realized, in my anxiousness to get away from her, I forgot to do something like call the police and have her arrested. So that was great. I'm glad my son is safe, but I'm dumbfounded at how insane and truly dangerous people are. It could have gone another way. I could have not sensed something was wrong and got back in my car and sped away without realizing my baby was taken. That's the scariest part for me. Anyway guys, that's all for today. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like and also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So have an awesome day, take care, and I'll see you next time.